All right. What's good all day, fam? Yo, so I found out why my phone was messing up, why the audio on my phone was messing up. I thought some people was just talking crap, just trying to freaking troll me. But I just watched the video and it was messed up. Now I know why it did that. It was because I actually so when I be in class, I put my phone on voice record, and when I put my phone on voice record, I sometimes forget to turn it off. And so my phone will be recording throughout the entire day. It will be like 15 hours of recording. And so, of course, I put my phone on voice record when I'm in class because, I want to go over the notes, go over what the teacher says, go over stuff that they said that I didn't catch or whatever. So when I was at my brother's house, we was watching, I was at my brother's house with the voice recorder still on. And then when I went live, I believe that's why it did that. So when I put it on live and then there was still the voice recorder was still on, I think I guess the camera, the video the webcam on my phone and the voice recorder on my phone, I think it was conflicting. And so I think that's what was causing the stuttering and the static, acoustic volume on my live channel. So I will remember next time I go live on my phone to turn that off. And I'm really upset because we had some pretty good content. Me and my brother was really talking about some really good stuff, and we were pretty much his thing was, well, hold on, you know what? I'm gonna see if I can call my brother. I'm gonna see if I can call him. We can go back into talking about it. See what he's doing real quick. I put him on the phone because it was actually a pretty good. It was actually a pretty good debate. If he don't got anything to, if he's don't pick up or he don't want to talk, I'll just continue on with the show. Let's see. Eight, one, eight, two. Okay, it's not picking up, but we'll just continue on. So, all day fam, great news. Great news today. Mike McDaniel, he decided to stick with the best team in the NFL, and he decided to go ahead and coach the best quarterback in the NFL, Justin Herbert. So that's wonderful news. I'm really excited. I'm really happy to see what Mike McDaniel is going to do with Justin Herbert and the Los Angeles Chargers, because it's official now. It's official. So I know the entire fan base is really excited. It's very happy about that. I know I am. And let me see. I have some notes that I wanted to pull up about talking about this. Give me a second. But to think about Mike McDaniel skipping out on the Browns, skipping out on the Bills, not taking the Raiders head coaching job. He told Jim Harbaugh, he said, he said, I'm eager to coach. I'm eager to be an offensive coordinator for the LA Chargers, but if I cannot find a head coaching job. It's interesting that he said that while he declined 3 head coaching positions. He did. I don't even think he did. I don't think he didn't interview for the Browns. He didn't interview for the Bills, and I don't even think he interviewed for the Raiders. So yeah, I found that very interesting. So I think, to be honest with you, none of those. I think what it was really, it was just Justin Herbert. He had a very high interest in coaching Justin Herbert, and I think a lot of coaches has a lot of interest in coaching Justin Herbert because Justin Herbert, he's that type of quarterback that everybody kind of wanted to get their hands on and experiment with, see what they can get out of him, see if they can really help him reach his ultimate potential. I mean, Justin Herbert has the ultimate size. He has the athleticism. He has the physical traits. I think he's extremely brilliant. I think he makes really great decisions. He's more than likely the toughest quarterback in the NFL, one of the toughest quarterbacks to ever play. So I love it, man. I'm so excited. We're going to see Justin Herbert unleashed like to a potential we never have before. With Mike McDaniel, what Mike McDaniel is going to do with him is going to be crazy. And even with the weapons that we have now, he is going to be unleashed. Now I can only imagine. I know your Chargers are not sticking with just the weapons that we have. Joe Ortiz is he has his way of how he's going about of putting getting players on the team, and he's always going to be looking for the best player available. Always. I mean, like he even said. I mean, sometimes I get frustrated with Ortiz when the Chargers aren't performing, but I can't really knock him for real. I can't really get on him for real. And I kind of eating my words by when I said earlier about Joe Ortiz do your effing job and all that. But I wanted him to do what I knew what he was going to do. But I'm so used to being a Charger fan, I just didn't know if he was going to do it. If that made any sense. If Jim Harbaugh, Joe Ortiz ever watch these videos, or if anybody Charger fan that knows, you know how frustrating it could be of being a Charter fan. You know how the franchise likes to sit on their hands and likes to not do anything. And so it just gets so irritating. And I just didn't know if that was going to be the case with Ortiz and Harbaugh. I didn't know if they was going to get sucked into that ridiculous culture of charging. I just didn't know. And it doesn't look like they're doing that. It looks like that Ortiz and Harbaugh means business. And they're going to do everything they possibly can, obsessively, bloodthirsty nature. They're showing it that they're going to do everything they can to do exactly what they said they're going to do. And that's going to bring a Lombardi trophy to the Los Angeles Chargers franchise. And that would just be so beautiful with the Chargers doing that, because the Chargers has never done that before. The last time they went to the Super Bowl, they got destroyed. And ever since then, they just been pretty much a whatever team. They've just been a team that always comes up short. That's why, the term charging comes to play. So I love it, man. I'm so excited. I'm happy. Jim Harbaugh is the greatest thing that happened to this franchise. Justin Herbert is the greatest thing that happened to this franchise, I should say. And then Jim Harbaugh is the second thing that happened, the greatest thing that happened to this franchise. And then Mike Daniels is the second thing greatest happened to this franchise, because Mike McDaniel being our coordinator, man, it's exciting. I'm so happy. And I can't speak enough about what this means for us, what this means for Herbert, what this means for his career, And so let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. Let's continue on with this. I thought this was interesting. I thought this was a take by Dan Fouts when he said. So Dan Fouts, he said he was pretty frustrated about the stuff going on about the cruel talk on Justin Herbert. I saw this in one of the Chargers fan base, according to the Los Angeles Chargers fan club on Facebook. I don't know how accurate this is, but they said that legendary Los Angeles Chargers quarterback Dan Fouts, angered after Justin Herbert was criticized for things he didn't do, issued a strong statement defending the star quarterback. What's happening to him is a crime against football, a blatant betrayal of everything this sport stands for. How can people be so cruel, criticizing a player who gives everything he has, shows up every week, plays through pain, never seeks attention, never blames anyone? He just fights for the Chargers. To me, Justin is one of the toughest and most selfless players this league has ever seen. And instead of questioning his value every time the team struggles, people should stand by him. Completely agree. Completely agree. So that's what I've been saying all along. Like the fact that I said he's the toughest quarterback in the league, but Dan Fouts is right. He's one of the toughest players to ever play. Just to see what he does every single week in and week out, battling through injuries, taking shots, taking hits, with a terrible offensive line. You can't. How can you find anything in your mind to criticize the dude? That's why I get so frustrated when I hear lunatics like Emmanuel Acho and Nick Wright and other analysts that I can't think of right now just knocking Herbert. I've never seen Mahomes do stuff like that. I never seen Josh Allen do stuff like that. I never seen them play through injuries, get demolished with a terrible offensive line. Patrick Mahomes, somewhat, yeah, I have a little bit, but not like to the level of Justin Herbert. Not to the level of Justin Herbert. None of them has really faced as much adversity as Herbert has. No quarterback has in the league. No quarterback. And and he deserves more respect. He definitely does, and that's why Dan Fouts said he's one of the most toughest guys to ever play this game. And Dan Fouts played in an era where it was tough, where it was brutal, where it was hard to play quarterback, and it was you couldn't do much. Like it wasn't you could do much, but quarterbacks weren't protected in that era. And for him to come out and say that, that just tells you how tough Herbert really is. He is wired. He is locked in, tapped in, and he doesn't complain. And that's what I'm saying. That's why I like him so much. That's why I praise him all the time. I come on here. I'm always talking about him. I'm always praising him. And by the time when people start showing him more respect, I'm not gonna have anything else to talk about mostly because it's gonna be obvious at that time, and I'm just gonna be proven right. But right now, I keep talking about him because one, he's my favorite quarterback, and outside of Caleb Williams and other USC quarterback like Sam Darnold and Tom Brady. Tom Brady doesn't play for USC, but Tom Brady's always been my favorite quarterback ever since I've been watching football. But he's my favorite, and I can't wait to see him really be more successful than he already is in this league. The individual stats he already has that. Now we just need the team, the team success to match what he's already doing individual wise, and for his career, for his Hall of Fame career to start kicking in. Because Justin Herbert definitely is a Hall of Fame quarterback. So, but I'm glad Dan Fouts came out and said that. And I don't know if let me Google this and see if he really did say that, because this was off a Facebook page. Somebody could have came up with this crap. But yeah, I just see it all on Facebook. So I don't know how accurate this is. Let me see. Yeah, I don't see this anywhere else. I just see it on Facebook. Now he has said something about Justin Herbert, but I don't see outside of that Facebook group. I don't see anything else. Uh, yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know how we can take that page. I don't know. I don't know how accurate that is, but it's interesting though. It's an interesting thing to look into. If he did say it, it really is. Let's look at. So yeah, Mike McDaniel with the Chargers. This season can't get here fast enough. It's just going to be so interesting to see the type of schemes and amount of guys that's going to be able to get open, and it's going to be interesting to see what he's going to do with Lad, what he's going to do with KLS. Yeah, and I don't know if Quentin Johnston. I don't know how he fits, how he's going to fit into this scheme, how he's going to fit into this offense. But hey, man, I think Quentin Johnson is getting better every single year. So if he can just keep getting better, it's going to be fun to see that, and it's going to be fun to see him just keep evolving. That's all what Quentin Johnson needs to keep doing. Quentin Johnson just needs to keep getting better and better and better and better. Like I think so far he has this year he was better than his previous year, and his previous year he was better than his rookie year. So Quentin Johnson is getting better. So I think the Chargers should stick with him because Quentin Johnson is like he's getting better slowly, like really, really slow. And there are some games where he kind of is not there. There are some games where he's nowhere to be seen. But I like that he's doing this in a Greg Roman's offense, and prior to Jim Harbaugh and Greg Roman, he was a rookie the first year, and that was when I think was it Brandon Staley there? Was it Brandon Staley or somebody? Yeah. So yeah, it was Brandon Staley. It's been 2 years since you fired Brandon Staley. So I think we need to. I think at first I do unless we get a big name wide receiver. I'm not even thinking George Pickens. unless we get somebody really like a big name wide receiver. I mean, like a top five, not big name, but a top five wide receiver. Somebody like AJ Brown, or I would say Tyreek Hill, but Tyreek Hill's been out for a year, so I don't think people think Tyreek Hill is the number one wide receiver anymore. But the only arguably top five wide receivers the Chargers can get is AJ Brown and Tyreek Hill. I don't think George Pickens is a top five. George Pickens has top five talent, but he's not a top five wide receiver. I can't put George Pickens over JSN. Well, obviously, you got JSN, Chase, Jefferson, or Jefferson, JSN, Chase. All those that the top three is locked down. Top three is locked down. Then you got two more. Then you got AJ Brown. I can't put George Pickens over AJ Brown. And then you got what other wide receiver you got? I don't think George Pickens is better than Neighbors. And then you got who else? You got I can't think of any wide receivers. They're out there. I mean, you got Mike Evans. You got who else is out there? You got the guy from the Lions, Amon St. Brown, USC great. You got I'm trying to think of some. Yeah, but I don't think George Pickens is a top five. He definitely has top five talent though. Definitely has top five talent. But it's going to be interesting to see that. I mean, speaking of George Pickens, the Chargers could snag George Pickens, so it'll be George Pickens in that offense. You got George Pickens, Quentin Johnson, Trey Harris, KLS, Lad. That's a solid receiving core right there. Very, very solid receiving core. Now, I do think if they do end up getting George Pickens, they're going to probably let Quentin Johnston go. I do think they'll end up doing that, which I hope they don't, because Quentin Johnston is getting better. Like that's the thing. That's why I'm sold on Quentin Johnston, because he's getting better. You can never get rid of a player who's getting better. So that's what so George Pickens can sometimes be suspect. He can be questionable sometimes. I mean, there were a couple of games where he was questionable. He was just nowhere to be found. So and George Pickens is going to be an experiment. I don't think I would want to let Quentin Johnston go for George Pickens. George Pickens does have a troubled past. I wouldn't let Lad go. Well, obviously he's not going anywhere. I will let Keenan Allen go for George Pickens, because Keenan Allen's on the back of his career. So, you can get rid of Keenan, bring in George Pickens, bring in another big name player. But I would not let Lad or Quentin. I wouldn't touch them. And obviously, I don't think Trey Harris and KLS is going anywhere. So, they're still fairly young. They were rookies last year. Trey Harris showed some great signs. We don't know what KLS can do. They could get rid of KLS, but he did show a little bit of signs. He did show some good activity a little bit towards the end of the year. KLS did. So KLS does have some burners, but George Pickens or AJ Brown would be awesome. I would like that, or Hill. I would like Hill over all of them, because I think Hill in his prime is better than all of them. And again, Tyreek Hill, he prevailed in Mike McDaniel's offense. Tyreek Hill prevailed with a average quarterback at Tua. I think Tyreek Hill still got something in his tank. I mean, he did have a serious injury, but I don't think Tyreek Hill has lost a step like most people think he has. I really don't think so. I just think last year it was just a tough year for Tua, and if it was a tough year for his quarterback, it's going to be a tough year for him. So, I mean, keep in mind the year before that, Tyreek Hill was like an MVP talks. It was the last time a wide receiver was in talks for MVP. So we're talking about how great JSN was this year. Tyreek Hill, he put up bigger numbers than JSN. So I would like to see Tyreek Hill get another shot. And with the quarterback like Justin Herbert in Mike McDaniel's offense, that's going to be dangerous. So if we could bring in Hill, maybe even Pickens, I don't know. I don't know if they can pull that off. Pickens is due a big contract though. So I don't know. I don't know about that. Maybe if it's right, if it's right, the contract is right. I guess so. Go out for him. Get Hill and Pickens. Keep keep KLS, keep hit Trey Harris, keep get rid of Keenan Allen, keep freaking Lad, Quincy KJ. I would like to see those receivers just have a ball in that Mike McDaniel's offense. Mike McDaniel is creative. He's gonna be like a kid in a candy store. He's gonna come up with some stuff. We don't need to know what he's gonna do. Mike McDaniel needs to know what he's gonna do, and Mike McDaniel does know what he will do. You give him George Pickens, KLS, Trey Harris, Quentin Johnston. Also give him Lad McConkey and who else? Freaking, I think that's all the receivers, man. And then with Amarion Hampton and freaking Kimani Vidal, and maybe if Najee Harris wants to come back, bro. And then you got Rondé Gatson. Come on, come on. And then maybe we can get that big name wide receiver, a big name tight end. I think out of Oregon. Come on, man. Then you talking about Scott Matlock, man, and then you go talking about Joe Wald and freaking Rashawn Slater. That's gonna be dangerous, man. That's gonna be dangerous. So let's talk about this real quick. So Mike McDonald, I saw this on Pro Football, on PFSN, Pro Football and Sports Network. This is a very credible network. So they said Mike McDaniel took over the Seahawks defense and has transformed it into the NFL's top-ranked scoring defense by his second season. Sound familiar? He did the exact same thing in Baltimore, the defensive coordinator, before Seattle hired him in January 2024. The results speak loudly. Seattle finished the 2025 regular season 14-3, tying the franchise record for wins and claiming the NFC's top seed. McDonald is now 24-10 as an NFL head coach, a .706 winning percentage that rivals any active coach in the league. At 38 years old, man, he's only 3 years older than me. Jeez. He's the second youngest head coach in the NFL behind only Kellen Moore. His NFC Championship game matchup against the Rams featured him and Sean McVay as one of the youngest combined coaching ages in conference championship history. Critics point to his small sample size and the talent already in Seattle when he arrived. Supporters see a generational coaching mind who makes defenses in his image wherever he goes. With a Super Bowl appearance now on the table, where does Mike McDaniel rank among the game's elite? Number one. You just got to give it to him. Got to give it to him. Number one. So that's that. I'm just going to give it to him. Like, they're right now. I mean, Kyle Shanahan did a really great job with the 49ers, but what Mike McDaniel is doing. He was great last year. I was on his case last year. I thought he was really good last year. If you guys go back to my older videos, I was talking about how great of a coach I think he is, and I think how great his defense was. I was choosing for Seattle to go deep last year. Didn't happen, and then so I didn't choose for Seattle to go deep this year, but they did again. And yeah, I've always liked Mike McDaniel. I'm not surprised by what he's doing. I knew how great of a coach he was, how great his defensive mind was, and so I told y'all I Seattle's going to win it all, and we're going. And yeah, I don't think New England. That Drake May, he's not going to. Drake May has been very underwhelming all year. I mean, all postseason. And that was a little bit of debate that me and my brother was having last night. My brother was saying it's not going to be a walk in the park. And I'm not saying it is going to be a walk in the park, but my brother was saying that my brother was kind of leaning towards New England winning. And my brother was saying because the defenses that Drake May has went through and the play call, the coaching that Mike Vrabel has done for New England and how he was able to overcome all those great defenses and make it all the way to the Super Bowl. But my argument was that the quarterback play, Justin Herbert including, even though I hate saying this, was very underwhelming against the Patriots defense. So if you're going to be coaching, I would say it was more on the lack of the productivity of the offenses and the underwhelming performance of the offenses that was performing against New England is the reason why New England was able to get so deep where they are, especially with Denver. Jarrett Stidham, like, who is that? And I actually picked Denver to win because I was like, I still think Denver could come away with a win against New England. And they actually had shots. It was questionable play calling towards the end of the game by Sean Payton. A lot of people didn't like him going forward and on fourth down and doing certain play calling for Stidham, who was a very limited quarterback, and they're like, you're calling plays that quarterback is not going to be able to execute on. So Sean Payton, you're wrong. We need to hold you accountable for doing that, and he does hold some accountability for that. That's just sometimes when you're being the coach, you're going to be delusional. You're going to lie to yourself, and you're going to do certain stuff like that. But you got to be realist. I think you got to be a realist when you're a coach, and when you're a coach in general. But this doesn't put a mark on Sean Payton by any means. Sean Payton's a hell of a coach, and he will be back. He will be back. I mean, he more than likely will be back facing the Chargers in the AFC Championship next year. I'm calling it. So, yeah, and I just, but I did end up agreeing with my brother because I said that the Patriots face underwhelming underwhelming quarterback play and with terrible offensive play calling and with a second string quarterback in Stidham. So, but at the same time, the Patriots quarterback play was very underwhelming too, and so was their offense. So that goes back to Mike Vrabel. So I mean, I'm saying that they were only able to win because of they were facing underwhelming quarterback play, and of course their defense is going to show out, and of course they're going to win the games because the quarterbacks. And I'm like, CJ Stroud, he was just god awful, just turning the ball over, giving it up. But at the same time, the Texans defense gave up some big plays, letting the Patriots run up and down the field with them 3 times and score. So I'm like, I can't take that away from Mike Vrabel. So my brother is right because their defense showed up and their quarterback didn't, and they're still winning games. So that's, I mean, the same excuse I'm trying to make for the other opposite teams. Mike Vrabel has that same excuse, but he's winning. So you got to give it to him. So my brother is absolutely correct about that. But what I'm saying is that I don't want to say luck, but that is going to end with Seattle because we see how Seattle is playing. They're not having electrical productivity on offense. Sam Darnold, he's hot right now. He's playing really well. I think he played really good against the 49ers, and he played great against the Rams. And I know he's going to do even better in the Super Bowl. Sam Darnold knows all eyes is on him. Sam Darnold knows that he can get his Lombardi Trophy. He could be a Super Bowl MVP, and he could seal his fate for the NFL for the rest of his future. And he's still super young. He's only 28. Sam Darnold has an opportunity to really make a legacy for himself because he's still young. That's the crazy thing about Sam Darnold. And the crazy thing is, too, all those other quarterbacks that people have been praising, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, they're not that much younger than Sam Darnold. How old is Joe Burrow? Burrow, I think he's 29, I think. Yeah, so Joe Burrow is 29, and he'll be 30 this year. Let me repeat that to you guys. Joe Burrow is 29. He'll be 30 in December. Sam Darnold, it's crazy how young Sam Darnold is, bro. It's crazy how young he is. This dude will be 29 in June. So Joe Burrow has went to the Super Bowl, but he hasn't won one. He hasn't been to the playoffs. He's been in one Super Bowl, one AFC championship. Hasn't been to the playoffs in the past 3 years. Sam Darnold has been to the playoffs 2 years in a row. Now he's on his way to the Super Bowl. On a different team. Keep that in mind. Sam Darnold, he can have a better career than Joe Burrow. And I think he will. He's showing that he can win games. He's showing that he can go deep. He's playing well. And I think Sam Darnold was more talented than Joe Burrow in college. Sam Darnold is only going to keep getting better. I think if Sam Darnold can keep getting better, keep working on his craft, he's this Super Bowl performance is only going to boost his confidence. Let me see how old Lamar Jackson is. Lamar Jackson, he's 29. Let me see how old Josh Allen is. Oh, Josh Allen's birthday is like 6 days before my birthday. Josh Allen, he's 29. He'll be 30. Josh Allen will be 30 this year. Well, in May. So he'll be 30 in a few months. So let me see. So these quarterbacks that you guys overrate, they're all younger than Sam Darnold. And Sam Darnold is about to win the Lombardi, get a host of Lombardi trophy before all of them. And you guys been sleeping on him. And now look, Josh Allen hasn't been to the Super Bowl. We're not even sure if he ever will. Lamar Jackson never been to a Super Bowl. We're not sure for sure if he ever will. Joe Burrow's been to one Super Bowl, but we don't know if he'll ever win one. If he'll ever be back at a Super Bowl. That's the same thing that happened to Dan Marino. I think it was Dan Marino, look, rookie or second year in the league, and Dan Marino went to one Super Bowl and he hasn't been back ever since. That can be the same case for Joe Burrow because the league doesn't get worse, and it down straight gonna get worse for you. So the league is just going to keep getting better. So if you're not getting better, if your team, whatever you're on, situation's not going to get better, you're just going to get left in the dirt, just like the world. The world's going to keep on evolving, keep on going, keep on going. If you ain't evolving with the world and getting better, it's just going to leave you in the dirt. That's the NFL for you. So it's the same thing. NFL to me is it's like the equivalence of real life, of the world, of reality. It's like in the NFL, you're never the same. It's either you're getting better or you're getting worse. In real life, in the world today, you're never the same. You're either getting better or getting worse. It's a delusion to think that you're just going to be this. You're the same. No, same is worse. That's what same means. It's worse because there are people out there who's getting better than you, and the world is evolving. And you right here. So what does that mean? If the standards is raising, and you're right here, what does that mean? You're below the standards. You're getting worse. Look, you don't have to move down. You don't have to keep moving down. This is just making you worse. That's you. So this can be Joe Burrow. This is the NFL. So that's what I mean. Like when you're the same, you're actually getting worse. So this can be you, and this is the world. That's the thing. So I mean, that's a life lesson for y'all. So you're never actually really the same. If you're the same, you're just getting worse. The older you get, the worse you're getting becoming. So you're running around this world. You're 365 days. You're just getting worse if you're not getting better. So get better. Get obsessed with better. Get obsessed with evolution. You're a personal evolution. But that's all I got to say about that. Let's see. The narrative throughout the fall was clear. The Patriots are products of the third easiest schedule. Oh yeah, I saw this. Let's see if I can. I'll just read this. So the story of the Patriots, New England Patriots. It says, I read this article. It says the narrative throughout the fall was clear. The Patriots were product of the 30 years easiest schedule in the league. Critics dismissed the wins as empty calories, claiming the team hadn't been tested physical units in football. It started with a clinical win over the fifth-ranked Chargers defense, providing the offense could produce against top-tier talent. Proving the offense could produce against top-tier talent. The momentum continued to the next round against the number one Texans defense in the league. They controlled the tempo and made less mistakes than the Texans. The run concluded by dismantling the number two are for the truth. So in the regular season, the Patriots had the third weakest schedule, and they beat the fifth-ranked defense, and then they beat the first-ranked defense, the Texans, and then they beat the second-ranked defense, which was the Denver Broncos. So, I mean, you got to give, like I said, you got to give credit to New England, and I am. I'm giving credit to them, and story. What ends? That story ends in 2 weeks. There's no way in hell that Seattle was losing. No way. And I just think Sam Darnold's going to go out there and ball out and just show out against in front of everybody. So, Charter, does this face look familiar? So, per Adam Schefter's post, goes Commanders run game coordinator Anthony Lynn interviewed Saturday night in Florida for the Browns head coaching job. Per league sources, it was Lynn's second head coach interview of the day, having met earlier Saturday with the Bills. I never thought Anthony Lynn was a good coach. It's going to be interesting to see if somebody hires him or where or when he's going to get hired at. Former Chargers general manager Tom Telesco is working for the Browns as a consultant during their coaching search. And Telesco and Lynn worked together in Los Angeles. Lynn also coached Cleveland's running backs coach in 2007 and 2008. So he's familiar with Cleveland, and he has connections there with Tom Telesco. So it's going to be interesting. Yeah, and it's interesting because he didn't. Yeah, Adam Schefter didn't say that he was the Chargers head coach. Yeah, I guess he just missed that. Yeah, they said church together in Los Angeles. I mean, he was the head coach in Los Angeles, but I never thought he was really a good coach. When we first hired him, I wanted to believe in him because I'm like, he's a black coach, and I liked his style, but he wasn't good. He wasn't a good coach, and yeah, I didn't like him. I stopped liking him very fast, just like Brendan Staley. Like I liked Brendan Staley when we hired him, and I stopped liking him fast, very fast. Same for North Turner. Well, I never really believed in North Turner. I didn't even understand that hire. I was just like, okay, let's wait and see. And it took me not too long to be like, okay, I don't want to see anymore. I don't want to see any more North Turner. So yeah, Jim Harbaugh is the greatest thing that happened to this franchise outside of Herbert and Mike McDaniels. But let's see if I want to share anything else with y'all. Oh yeah. So I remember I saw last time where I was watching one of my older videos and I was looking at Tom Brady talking and the video was muted. So I guess YouTube mutes the video. So I can't really have volume, I guess, when I'm showing these. Safety's not. But I'm just gonna play this. Tom Brady is breaking down the 51-yard dime for Sam Darnold to Rashid Shaheed. I thought this was an excellent dime. I guys look at it. I like this play. This was great by Sam Darnold.
Not going to give him any support, and then he makes a decisive throw. Ends up being a perfect throw. That's an A throw right to his kind of over the top. You have that speed matchup on the right side of the field. As soon as he's just verifying that the safety's not going to give him any support, and then he makes a decisive throw. Ends up being a perfect throw. That's an A throw right to his kind of over the top. You have that speed matchup on the right side of the field. As soon as he's verifying that the
so oh, we got a mock draft from Daniel Jeremiah. Let's look at this. So Daniel Jeremiah got Fernando Mendoza going to the Raiders out of Indiana. And then he has Arvell Reese, edge, coming out of Ohio State, going to the Jets. And then he has Spencer Fano, offensive tackle out of Utah, going to the Cardinals. And then he has Francis Muaga, I guess, offensive tackle out of Miami. And then he has Mansur Delaney, cornerback out of LSU, going to the Giants. And then he has David Bailey, edge out of Texas Tech, going to the Browns. And then he has Sony. He's really good. I'll be interested with him in Myles Garrett. And then he got Sony Styles, linebacker out of Ohio State, going to the Commanders. And then he has Jeremiah Love, running back out of Notre Dame, going to the Saints. And then, got a running back going into the top 10. Okay. And then he has Ruben Bain Jr., edge out of Miami. Okay, Miami putting out some guys. And there's like 3 edges going in the first 10 picks. Okay. And then he has Jamad McCoy, a cornerback out of Tennessee, going to the Bengals. Okay. Well, I like that. Okay, cool. You'll see what someone said. Anyone else think this insane to believe the Saints will pick a running back? As much as I don't want to see Love end up with the Chiefs, this guy must be a really good running back. As people are like, they don't want to see him go with the Chiefs. End up with the Chiefs. New Orleans taking it back will be so incredibly unserious. They need offensive line and wide receiver much more. They arguably even need tight end more than running back. I completely agree with that. Someone says the Bills are picking a wide receiver in the first round. Okay. No way. We all watched that national championship. It came away with Ruben Bain going ninth. I don't care if he's a little undersized. Yeah, I see. Please don't let Arville Reese go to the Jets. I don't know why they don't want him to go to the Jets. Where's he at? Arville Reese, edge. Raider fans seeing themselves with the number one overall pick. Yeah, I was kind of. That's what I was saying. I was kind of questioning about the Browns getting another defensive player, let alone an edge. One guy says there's no way the Giants are going to pass up on Downs, Tate, or Tyson for this guy. Giants. So I guess Menton Delaney is not that good. So there's no way Downs, Tate, or Tyson. I don't see any of those guys in the top 10. Okay. Oh, yeah. I was curious to see what other fans were saying, but let's see. All right, I'm gonna go back to the Chargers. PFF lays out some landing spots for the Chargers. Let's see here. So PFF lays out possible landing spots for two top Chargers free agents. The Chargers have a handful of their own players. They will have to decide whether they will re-sign. And atop that list are edge defenders Khalil Mack and Adofe Owe. General manager Joe Ortiz would see them both as priorities, but should they walk? Pro Football Focus laid out possible landing spots for them. For Mack, PFF sees the Ravens as a spot for the veteran. I doubt it. I don't see Mack going anywhere. If Mack is going anywhere, he's retiring. He's going home. LA is his last stop. I don't see him going to the Ravens. I just think that's just too much for Mac right now in his career. For him to keep bouncing around different leagues, different teams. Jesse Minter didn't have that much of an impact on Khalil Mack's career. I don't see why. I don't get the narrative of him following Jesse Minter to Baltimore. I just don't see that narrative. I don't understand that. And we don't even know how good of a head coach Jesse Minter is going to be. I don't like that narrative. Just because Jesse Minter was there for 2 years and Khalil Mack was one of the anchors of our defense doesn't mean that Khalil Mack is automatically just going to be like, oh, Jesse Minter, he revolutionized my career. Let me go to no. Jesse Minter did not revolutionize Khalil Mack's career. Khalil Mack was a monster way before Jesse Minter. Okay, so Khalil Mack is staying right there in LA. He's not going anywhere. So I'm telling you that right now. He is not. I don't know this for a fact, but at the same time, I know this for a fact. He's not going. So PFF can just stop talking about that. It's just dumb for them to say it. It's not happening. If, like I said, if Khalil Mack is going anywhere, he's retiring. LA is his final stop. Period. You guys can quote me on this. You can write this down. You can take a picture on this. You can screen record this, and you can come back and be like, "Oh, well, I thought you said this." Okay. Take my word for it. It's not happening. It's not happening. So with this defensive coordinator in Los Angeles, Jesse Minter exploring head coaching opportunities, Mac may choose to follow him to a new day. But this must be an old article. Ravens are okay. Yeah, this is an old article. But I still believe the Chargers fans should brace themselves for players to follow former defense where he is a new head coach. Now, I'm not saying former players won't follow him. I think former players would, but Mac isn't following. If Mack was going to do anything, he's retiring. Plain and simple. I still believe the Bulls will try to bring him back on another 1 year contract in the ballpark of the $18 million deal he signed last off season. For Owe, PFF believes the Titans will be a good destination for him. With Robert Saleh and the Titans agreeing on a contract to be named their next head coach, the first order of business in Tennessee will be to revamp a defense that struggled on the edge. The Titans regenerated solid sack numbers but failed to produce pressure off the edge, generating just a 19% pressure rate, 28. New head coach Robert Saleh was certainly looking to add pieces for the defense. He will be running an always resurgence after being traded to the Chargers, which resulted in a 7.5 sack during the regular season and 3 sacks in the playoff game against the Patriots. Should Pike Saleh's interest, the Bolts will make a strong push to bring Owe back. So there could be some surefire talent in the positional room alongside Tuli Pelotu. I finally pronounced his name right. Tuli Pelotu. So yeah, now I mean I wouldn't be surprised if Owe leaves, but I don't think Owe's going to leave either. Owe said he loved playing for the Chargers, and he wants to come back. Owe already said it, so we're just up to the Chargers bringing him back. Owe said he had fun here, so that it's exciting. I like to hear that. And I think another thing that's probably going to inspire some of those guys to stay and come back is the type of defensive coordinator that we're going to sign. If we can get that guy out of the Rams, which I think is going to be a much better defensive coordinator than Jesse Minter. I'm talking about what's his name, Albert Paston or something like that. I can't remember his name. Black guy from the Rams, defensive passing game coordinator. If we can bring him in, which I think we are going to bring him in because now that the Rams lost and we're going to bring him in for an interview, I see him being the next defensive coordinator for the Los Angeles Chargers. And I also think that he's going to, like I said, he's going to be a much better coordinator than Jesse Minter. And that's going to inspire Khalil Mack, Owe, Odofe Owe, and a lot of other Chargers to stay. Okay, so there you go. PFF is wrong on that. Khalil Mack ain't leaving. So mark my words with that. But let's see. The only thing about it is that these two coordinators that the Chargers are going to pick up, they could both leave next year. Mike McDaniels could leave next year, and the defensive coordinator from the Rams, if we pick him up, he can leave next year because he's already due at head coaching position. Now he's a head coach. He could be I don't really think Jesse Minter is going to be a good head coach. I'm just being honest with you guys right now. I just don't. I don't really like that experiment with the Ravens. I don't. Like I said before, I think Jesse Minter was a really good coach, but I think he was. I think he was not as good as advertised. And I think he was a little bit overrated as a defensive coordinator. I saw a lot of holes in that defense, and there were some times where we had a lot of blown coverages, and that kind of, and for people to say how much of a genius guru he was at defense, I'm like, if he's this great, we should not be having blown coverages a lot. And there was times where we got steamrolled by the running games, and I'm like, okay, if Jesse Minter is this great, that should not be happening. Not saying he's not a good defensive coordinator, not saying that, but stuff like that just shouldn't be happening. We gave up a lot of big plays this year, a lot, and then we did that. And that it was the same case the year before. So I'm like, no, I've seen better. I've seen better defenses, and there's better defenses in the league this year than our defense. And there were defenses who weren't giving up a lot, like Jesse Minter was. So, hey guys, this boosts my credibility. Take note of this. Write it down. I take receipts. Be like, oh, I thought if Jason Minter next off this year, be like, oh yeah, Dante, I thought you said Jason Minter was going to be good. I'm like, yeah, I did say that, and he's good. Okay, it's whatever. I'm sticking with my word. I don't think he's going to be that good. I do think if we do get that Rams coach, he's going to be better than Jesse Minter, and he might end up because he's going to be so good with us. He's going to end up leaving to another head coaching job if he doesn't desire to stay with the Chargers and just learn more under Jim Harbaugh, which he's learned under Sean McVay. And he's learned under Jim Harbaugh. He's going to be due a head coaching position very, very soon. So I forget the guy's name. I think his name is Albert Paston or something like that. Let me see. Hold on. I don't want you guys to. Hold on. Aubrey Pleasant. Aubrey Pleasant. That's his name. Yeah. So that's the guy I'm talking about, who I think is going to be really great for the Chargers as a defensive coordinator. I think he's going to be better, not great, better than Jesse Minter. And yeah, and you guys can take note of that. You guys, like I said, I don't mind being wrong. I don't think I'm going to be wrong though, but and he's going to be up for the head coaching position after this year. So hopefully, hopefully, Mike McDaniel and him could stay with us, if we sign him. So it's going to be interesting to see when the Chargers is going to bring him in. We already requested an interview with him, and I can only imagine that we're just going to sign him. He's going to stay. He's going to be with LA. He's going to be with the Chargers. He's a players coach. You got the coaches, the players. They loved him in Los Angeles. They played really well and really hard for him. So I can only yeah, I think he'll be a really great fit for LA, for the Chargers. Really great fit. Let's see what this is saying. Guess I'll read this article for y'all. So Chargers approach to replacing defensive coordinator Jesse Minter takes an intriguing new return. The Chargers are still looking for a new defensive coordinator after Jesse Minter became Baltimore's head coach, and Jonathan Gannon was apparently an option. So the Chargers have a defensive coordinator vacancy to fill after Jesse Minter's departure to the Ravens. External interviews are underway. Last week, Los Angeles spoke to Ravens defensive coordinator Zach Orr, which nobody wants, and Rams pass coordinator. This is the guy I was just talking about. We got to get him. He's the best one that we got. He's the best one. I think he's the best option for us. And Rams pass game coordinator and assistant head coach Aubrey Pleasant. If he learned under McVay, he was an assistant head coach. I think he knows a little bit of offense. He's a defensive pass game coordinator. He will do wonders for the Chargers. He knows how to win. He knows the recipe, and he brings that knowledge to LA. That coaching, then with Mike McDaniel, Jim Harbaugh, that is just going to do wonders for our coaching. That's just going to do wonders. The team also interviewed Titans defensive coordinator Denard Wilson. Now that's not bad either. I think he'll be number 2. I say he's number 2 in the option in that process. If I was the GM, Aubrey Pleasant would be my number 1 option, and then Denard Wilson would be my number 2 option. And then but Wilson has reportedly opted to take. So he's going to New York, a New York defense coordinator position. He's going. Never mind. Well, he chose the other Harbaugh. Oh well. The Chargers seem committed to an exhaustive defensive coordinator search. It is still possible that the Chargers will internally promote a current staff member to defensive coordinator. Realistic names for promotion include defensive backs coach Steve Clinkscale and defensive line coach Mike Elston. But the detailed external interview process means that the Chargers want to get a look at all the possible candidates before making a decision. Per an ESPN report from Rob Demoski, the Chargers thought about another interesting external name. The Packers hired former Cardinals head coach Jonathan Gannon to their defensive coordinator position yesterday. Per Demoski, both Harbaugh brothers were interested in Gannon's ability for their vacancies. A source also said Gannon was drawing interest from both Jim Harbaugh. Oh yeah, we already said that. If the Packers had waited any longer, they might have lost out on Gannon. Yeah. Gannon coached the number 1 ranked total defense in 2022 with the Philadelphia Eagles. Before getting his first head coaching gig with Arizona, he went 15-36 in 3 seasons after him. While the defensive talent Gannon had to work with in Arizona wasn't optional, the Cardinals' best total defense ranking finished with just 20th in 2024. The Chargers showing interest in a high-profile candidate like Gannon means that that this is going to be a competitive search to replace Minter, and it should be. Minter coached 2 back-to-back top 10 NFL defenses, with the Chargers settling for just any candidate is something they can't afford. Minter truly maximized every player on the Chargers defense: Adofi Alway, Christian Fulton, Dante Jackson, Troy Dye, St. Juice, Puna Ford, the list goes on. He did do that. I'm not going to front. He turned several free agent bargains into very productive players. All I know is there was times when we had a lot of blown coverage and to get in the draft. There was an article out about the Chargers getting they got their eyes on a certain guy. So let's talk about this. Soon get a sneak peek at a tantalizing draft target. The Chargers have shown in the NFL, so the season continues on. The Los Angeles Chargers offseason, they are still in search of both an offensive and defensive coordinator, though the Mike McDaniel hiring seems more likely by the day. Okay, we talk about soon. They will need to turn their attention towards free agency, where they have just over 80 teams that's already shown interest in him, and a strong performance in the bowl could put him firmly on the radar. Demon Claiborne could be an intriguing option. Running back Demon Claiborne at Shrine. Packers, although also